From the first moment of creation, Bereshis, in the beginning, everything was there. The following days, everything was only put in its position. So everything was this soup mix, and it just then emerged or was placed in a position in this moments after and the 6 days afterwards. So in the beginning, there was everything. And then everything was, so to speak, discovered only after. In a similar manner, when we speak about electricity, was electricity there at the beginning of creation? Absolutely. It just took, over 5,000 years to discover electricity. Electricity isn't something new in the sense that it was not there before, right? It was there. All of the gadgets that we have of a modern world that we live in, right? We have a smartphone, right? It's a smartphone, makes us dumb. But it was discovered. It's all there in creation from the very first word Bereshis, from the very first 6 days of creation. And all we have to do is find it. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad in Kadesh, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We continue in the 26th letter from the Alter Rebbe's teachings, where he's speaking about discovery. Discovery is not only in a material world, where Thomas Edison, discovered the light bulb and how you could use energy. Energy? Well, it was always there. How was it going to be harnessed? So you could then light up the world. So that took a discovery. But the Alter Rebbe introduces that discovery goes a lot deeper than, more profound than merely the material world that we can discover things. Well, when it comes to intelligence and understanding of something, that's in Torah. There are new questions and issues in Torah. For example, when electricity was discovered, how do we understand it from a halachic point of view, from codified Jewish law, on how to deal with electricity when it comes for Shabbos? Or when Ilan Ramon, of blessed memory, when he went up on the rocket ship, and he knew that he was representing the Jewish people, so he wanted to observe Shabbos. Well, when you're in space, circling the Earth, I don't remember now how often, but time was very different than it is on Earth, and his encircling the Earth would be, I think, every, be more than once a day, if I recall. In any case, that's not the point. The point is that issue was concealed in Jewish law. Whether it's electricity, whether it's about the observance on a rocket ship of the Sabbath, or for that matter, of putting on tefillin. I think a day would be every I don't recall, was that every 20 minutes, 30 minutes? I don't remember. Whatever. So how do we look at these issues? I'm just giving them as an example. They are hidden. They are concealed. And therefore, what's necessary is to discover the answer. How? By deliberating, by arguing, based on precedent in Jewish law, and see, for example, how do you look at electricity? Do you look at it as fire? Do you look at it as a completion of something? And then you would have an understanding on how it applies to the Sabbath, to Shabbos. And is it considered like making a fire and the like? So, 500 years ago, there was no electricity. Even less than that, just a couple hundred years ago, there wasn't electricity. Yeah, something like that. In any case. So now that electricity was discovered, we need to discover in Torah its perspective on it. So that takes a lot of clarification. That teachings prior to the elucidation, where was that wisdom? Where was that final halachic ruling? Well, it was trapped in klipa, in a shell and covering over. Because if it wasn't trapped, then you would have clear elucidation. It would be clear as day. Right? But it wasn't. It wasn't clearly understood. It needed to take the spark of that holiness of the teachings that is in a exile, shall we say. And how did that all happen? Happened originally with the primordial breaking of the vessels, as there fell from the spiritual realm this teachings, this spark fell from the breaking of the vessel, a shard, if you will, and now is trapped in a state of exile. That's what's called klipa. And it was trapped even from souls in the spiritual realm, angels in the spiritual realm, until someone down here elucidated, deliberated, discussed, and argued the point with others. Make the point yourself, but it's got to go through the test of other scholars and come to a conclusion. This is why the Zohar says that every problematic query emanates from the side of negativity, because that's what klipa is. Klipa, again, is the shell that covers over and hides. Here it's hiding a wisdom, an understanding, a knowledge, a divine knowledge. Again, that fell from the shards of the primordial breaking of the vessels in the spiritual realm that was before the physical world was created. And now that it's concealed in klipa, a negative force, you got to work hard in order to break the shell. You got to deliberate. You've got to discuss. You've got to argue the point, prove the point, in order to come to an adjudication in Jewish law. Fascinating idea. Yeah. A contemporary to the Alter Rebbe was the Rishon Rebbe. When he was 5 years old, became a great, holy, righteous individual. Of course, if you become a great, holy, righteous individual, when you're 5 years old, you've got the makings. You've got a unique soul. And when his teacher was saying and teaching, when does Shabbos begin? When does the Sabbath begin? And speaking about Jewish law, of when the 3 stars come out, and so on and so forth. So the little Israel from Ruzhin said, Rabbi, how do you know when Shabbos begins? Well, you just go outside and look at the heavens, and you could tell. Now, when I go outside, I can't tell, because sometimes you could see 3 stars, medium-sized stars, but in a city, you usually don't see that many stars, and it's hidden from us. But he said, well, you don't have to see the 3 stars, even when it's a cloudy day, and you just look up the heavens, you know when Shabbos begins. Well, if you are a righteous soul, then yes, clouds don't cover up, because you see with your eyes how the world is elevated on the Shabbos, and you perceive that with your mind's eye. Perhaps even the righteous, they see it with their naked eye, how the world is a different world, because there's nothing hidden from the righteous, or I should say nothing's hidden. There are things that are hidden from us that are not hidden from them. And that's what righteous means, because the shell's not covering over on the truth, on the reality of what is the divine that is in that particular thing, moment, or idea. So we live in a world where things are covered over, and they need to be discovered. And it takes a lot of work, because it's in klipa, it's in that shell. So when it comes to Torah, and you have a question in something, the only reason you have a question is because the light of the divine is not illuminated that you perceive. And therefore you have a question. We need to know that that question is actually coming from negativity. Not because we're bad, but the state of the world is such that it's covering over. And therefore we have a question. If we saw and experienced the presence of the divine, as original Rabbi Israel, as a 5-year-old, was capable of perceiving, and he was a lofty soul. But in our lives, if whatever we perceive and we see the divine in something, it means it's uncovered over in the klipa, and there's great, great clarity. The shell has been broken. The spark of the divine is revealed. So when it comes to Torah teachings, not always is that the case. And therefore we have to work hard. Break our heads, as we say, right? To break the shell of the klipa. And that klipa is in us. The klipa is outside of us. Both. A lot of times we don't get something because we are just either full of ourselves or not oriented to the divine light, because we are very self-oriented, self-directed. When you're self-directed, then it's hard to be directed to the divine in something. And it takes a lot of work. And we all see that in our lives, that sometimes there are things that we are really directed and see the divine in something, because we have more of the aptitude towards that, which is amazing. So for example, everybody has a mitzvah that they like and are, feel most connected to. Someone might be studying Tanya. Others, it might be prayer. Others might be lighting their Shabbos candles for women. It might be for men their tefillin that they put on. Right? Why is that? Because the light of the divine is more revealed, more apparent to you. Another thing, leaves you a little unmoved. You even have some questions. Why? Because it's covered over the divine light in that mitzvah, in that good thing. Sometimes it's so covered over that we have a challenge time and time again. And that's a proof, actually. That's an area in our lives that we need to work on. We need to crack the shell. That's not allowing us to perceive the divine in that moment, in that thing, in that person, in that area of life. We all know of certain challenges that we constantly face that are important ones, because it might be an important one that we deal with a loved one. And we then need to know, I keep on trying to hit break and I'm not breaking through. It's not coming through. So it means the challenge is great. God's desire for you to break through is amazing when we do that, because that's what is needed. But to make sure that we have clarity in the point over here, the uniqueness is that it's not just in the physical world where that spark is. And, take a physical object, a pen could be used, to write slanderous things. Or a pen could be used to reveal godly teachings and godly ideas. Of course, the choice is ours, but that's in the physical world, that there's a spark of the divine in here and I could elevate it. The teachings today is that there's a spark of the divine, and not just in the physical world, but in the world of ideas, the world of knowledge that is hidden. Divine knowledge that's hidden in Klippa. And when we give ourselves over to elucidate something in Torah that either is unclear to me, or maybe there's a question, that other commentators have and dealt with, and we, use our minds to elucidate the teachings, there's a breakthrough there. There's a discovery. Now, to be able to do that, you have to be truly devoted. Devoted to not self-discovery, but for discovery of the divine. Doing it as an expression of your divine connection to God. All right. Thank you, folks. Amazing. So, Elise is with us. Ron is with us. Leah is with us. Mordechai. John. Lorraine. Lardana. Irma. Ooh. Mary Lana. I don't know if I pronounced it right. Rusty. Sarah, Estella, Zar, Nancy, Melanie, Clem, Sherry from Israel. Oh, welcome Israel. Benjamin, Simcha. We have Vilma with us. Akoy, George, Rachel, Diane, Alice, Niente Telementa, Frank, Yeli, Rena, and some others I can't make out. Beautiful to have you all. All right, that's today's teachings. More to come. Stay tuned. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zich and Kadeshim and Charles Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great day. Thank you for joining.